So as I look at this, I can see that that intro asset is pretty long. In fact, if I click on it, I can see that it is, let's see, 1 minute and 19 seconds. That's way too long. I want to keep this short so that I can keep my viewers interested in my story. So how am I going to trim this? When you have a video clip selected, all you need to do is go to the left edge of that orange box or the right edge, and you're just going to drag. And as you drag, you're going to see what's being clipped from that. Notice too that once I let go, even though I clipped from the beginning of my sequence, it snapped the whole sequence to that left edge. Rush doesn't leave you any gaps, so you don't have to worry about moving something, deleting something, and being left with nothing on your screen. I'm also going to pull in the right side a little bit. I think it's still a little bit too long. And now let's listen to the, as we transition into the interview.
Good morning, Philippines.
Guess what we're gonna go do again? Snorkel!
All right, he's talking about two different things in this particular interview. One, the woman is mentioning how much fun they're going to have going snorkeling. And I do have some snorkeling clips, but I'm not going to include them in this particular movie. So what I'd like to do is crop out the part where she mentions that. And we just went over how to do that. I'm going to place my cursor over that left edge, drag until I see her raise her arms and drop them. And he's just about to start talking. And I think that's a good spot. Let's see if that's accurate.
So today is
Perfect. Now, when he gets to the end of what he's talking about, where they're going, what they're going to do that day, he starts talking about what it looks like in the area that they're going to be viewing.
some pictures of blue water, big rocks and stuff.
And I think, wouldn't it be nice if my viewers could see what he's talking about instead of just hearing him talk about it? So this is where I'm going to add another video track. This gives us a chance to work with multiple video tracks and also shows you one of the ways that we can transform to have either picture-in-picture or to have what we call B-roll. This is my main track or my A track. Sometimes people call it the hero track, and then I have B-roll. So with this clip selected, I'm going to go back to that blue plus button. Remember, this is the button that I'm going to use anytime I want to add media. Clicking on media, I'm going to look for a video clip that really describes what he's doing. So let's go ahead and click on that one, click add. It drops it in right after the clip that I had selected. And as we look at it, we can see that it's showing this beautiful blue water, these gorgeous rocks. So now what I need to do is make sure that as he's speaking about that, that's the video that I see. So by taking my cursor, I'm going to press down on that clip, bring it up above so that it's on a track right above. I'm going to shorten it a little bit, and I just need to find out exactly where that needs to be. So let's take a look at this. And I'm going to increase that preview just a little bit. Give us a little more space on our screen. All right, here we go.
See a bunch of videos and pictures.
I think it needs to go a little bit further to the right. Don't want to give it away too soon.
Videos and pictures of blue water, big rocks and stuff. That's where we are.
And that's exactly what I want. When he comes back and looks at us and says, that's where we are, I want to be back on his face. So that I feel pretty good about. And now we move to the next section. This is where people start loading onto the boat. And there's two things going on in this clip. One, how many people do I need to see load the boat before I get the idea that they're getting on a boat and they're going on an adventure? So I really would like to trim this clip a little bit like I've done some of the others. The other is that the sound is very garbled. And if I look at the video beneath, Rush has interpreted this actually as music because the sound is so garbled and up and down. It's not really seeing this as conversation. I'd like to clean this up a little bit. So with this selected, I'm going to go over to the audio and I'm going to change it from music to voice, which gives me a few extra controls that I have to try to filter some of this noise out. One, I can reduce the background noise. I can also reduce any echo. Now in this case, echo is really not our problem, but if you're filming in a classroom or you're filming in a closed room where you're going to have sound bouncing off the walls, sometimes that's what you get. You get that reverberation that makes it a little bit harder to understand the voice. So you can choose reduce echo. You can even enhance speech. If you click on that, you have a choice between male and female. I would assume that you could choose between whether someone's voice is higher or lower than another, and I would try either to see which gives you the best result. For now, I'm going to keep that off. The other thing I'm going to do is shorten this clip, and I think I want to have the first two people get on, and just as the young woman with the backpack is approaching, I'm going to go ahead and clip it to that spot. Make sure that that audio matches. All right. Let's see what that sounds like now. Much better, not quite so garbled. It's a little bit lower. I think this clip is fine. But again, I've got a clip at the end that's pretty long. So I'm going to shorten this. And I'm sure you can hear my keyboard. I'm hitting my spacebar every time I'm starting and stopping, just because it's a really fast way to edit this. All right, I think I've got my clips about where I want them. So I need to now take care of some things to make it look better. One, I want to handle the transitions between these clips. I'd like to add a title, and I want to make sure that I fade out with this particular film. Fading out isn't always the best method depending on your story. For example, I did a video recently where we had a really exciting song, and I wanted to synchronize each change of those quick clips with the beat of the music. In fact, there have been several tutorials that talk about that, and it's really engaging to your audience if that music is really uplifting and has a lot of energy. In those cases, having that direct clip that goes from one clip to the next is really helpful, but you may want to transition a little bit better, and let's do some of those transitions. So here's the first one.
So today,
and it just goes bam right there. So I'm going to select the interview clip, and I'm going to go back over to my transition, and there's a couple different ways that I can add these transitions to this clip. If the clip is selected, I can double click on the cross dissolve, and this is the one that changes the resolution from one clip. It lowers the resolution of the first one, and then it moves through to the second one and then increases that resolution. So you get a much softer transition. I think most people have seen that in videos. With a double click, it adds the transition at the beginning and at the end of that clip. For the next couple clips, what I'm going to do is just drag that transition down. So in this case, I'm going to do a cross dissolve and just drag it into place. Drag another one into place. And then the very last one I'm going to do a little bit differently. Let's take a look at what these transitions feel like when you're watching the video. There was the first one, and there's the second one. If I decide that those transitions are too short and I'd really like it to be longer and smoother, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. And I can see that transition in much more detail. There's a couple ways I can expand that transition. I can either drag its edge, just like I've done with any other clip, or with that transition selected, I can go to the upper right corner, and next to presets, I see there's an edit command. I can change the number by scrubbing, the duration, I can put in an exact number, and I can also drag the duration, scroll right here across the page. That's completely up to you. The next thing I want to do is deal with the very end of the video. Let me just go through that, and bam, it just comes to a dead stop. And this is a scene of a boat going off into the distance. I'd really like a much softer transition out. So in this case, I'm going to go back to my transitions, and I'm going to drag down a dip to black. Oop, I want to make sure that that clip is selected first. There's that orange box, drag dip to black. And this is a case where I'm definitely going to extend this, and let's take a peek at this. Okay, much better.